Let's take a look at three-dimensional coordinate system. So before we learn this, we usually deal with a two-dimensional coordinate system, right? Which is the XY plane. So we have a graphing paper, right? We have an x-axis and a y-axis, so that is two-dimensional. So in three-dimensional, there are three axes. We have the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. And then the origin is at 0, 0, 0. So we have 3 0. The first 0 stands for the x coordinate, the second 0 stands for y coordinate, and the third 0 stands for the z coordinate. So as you go deeper and deeper in calculus, you will be learning multivariable calculus. So in the past, we usually take the derivative or take the integral of a function, or with either we do it with respect to x or we do it with respect to y, right? So later on, as you move on to multivariable calculus, you have to deal with function that has more than one independent variables, all right? And then number 3, the three axes determine the three coordinate planes. So we have an xy plane, a yz plane, and an xz plane. I'm going to use a picture to support that. And then the last characteristic is the three coordinate planes divide the entire space into 8 octants. I will also give you a picture for that. So let's take a look at this picture. So the first picture, that is a 3D coordinate system. So let's play around with that. So do you see that there is a x-axis? So let me change that to a darker color. So you have an x-axis, you have a y-axis, and also you have a z-axis, right? And then they have some marks for you. So we see the positive x, the positive y, and the positive z. So let's take a look at the x-axis. So we already have x equals to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the other side of the x-axis, we have x equals to -1, -2, -3, -4. So -1, -2, -3, and -4. Let's switch to another color. And then on the other side of the y-axis, we have -1, -2, -3, and -4. Let's write this down, -3 and -4. And then the z-axis, let's switch that to another color. So down below, we have -1, -2, -3, and -4. So that's how the 3D coordinate system works. And then the picture in the middle, that is called a right hand rule. So you can picture this in your mind. Imagine that you are using your right hand, all right, your right hand to grab the 3D coordinate system. Again, you are using your right hand to grab the z-axis. You want to hold on, you want to hold this tight, you want to grab the z-axis. In the meantime, you want to lift your thumbs up, just like giving a like, just like how you give me a like in these videos, or you give a like of a post on Facebook. So you lift your thumbs up. So your thumb is the z-axis. Do you see that? Your thumb is the z-axis, and then your wrist, your right hand is the x-axis, and then your finger is the y-axis. So that is the right hand rule. And then the third picture on the right. So do you see that we have the XYZ? So where is the XY plane? So look at the x-axis and the y-axis. So here we have the XY plane. So that is the green two-dimensional plane. And then what about the red plane? The red plane, so that is touching the x and z. So that is called the XZ plane. And then the purple plane, the two-dimensional purple plane, that is touching the z and y. So we call that a YZ plane. So at YZ plane, there is no x. So we let x is equals to 0. XY, there is no z. So z is equals to 0. And then at the XZ plane, there is no y, because if you have a point on the XZ plane, y is equals to 0. So the XZ, the YZ, and the XY, these three different colors, they are two-dimensional. They are like a two-dimensional square, right? It's 2D. So if you have a point on that plane, so let's say you have a point on the purple plane, the YZ plane, x is equals to 0. You have a point on the XY plane, that plane, z is equals to 0. You have another point on XZ plane, at that plane, y is equals to 0. So that's how the first three picture works. Let's take a look at two more. So this one, I give you another 3D dimensional system that has the XY plane, so which is the blue plane, right? Horizontal, flat and horizontal. And we also have a green plane, the YZ plane, and then we have a yellow plane, the YZ plane. So here is what I want you to picture in your mind. So how come there are 8 octants? So there are 8 octants. how do you where are those 8 octants? Imagine this: you have a 3D box. The box is a square, so you cut the box into 2 pieces, or you are thinking this as 2-story building. So you have 2-story, and then you cut that right in the middle. So you have a box, and then you slice the box right in the middle. So you get 1 story and 2 stories. So within the first story, we have this. So we have 4 octants, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then downstairs, so the 1, 2, 3, and 4 is right here, right above this, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then in the lower level, we still have another 4 octants. So we call that a 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's why we have 8 octants. You have a x-axis, a y-axis, and a z-axis. They divide the entire 3-dimensional space into 8 octants. You can just like simply close your eyes and then picture this in your room. So imagine that you are in your bedroom right now. You cut your bedroom into 2 stories, right? You use a big board to cut your bedroom into 2 stories, and then you cut the room one more time. So can you picture that? There are 2 stories. In the first story, you have 4 little square. In the second story, you also have 4 little squares. So we have 8 octants. And then the last picture, so this one is how you plot a point on a 3D coordinate system. So let's say P is equals to x, comma y, comma z, right? So this is the correct order to follow. So first you have to check out the x. So x, so this one what are they trying to do? They are trying to let x to be equals to 8, right? So you have x is equals to 8, and then y is equals to another value. So y, you go this way. So y is equals to another value. So this point corresponds to this x, and then this y, right? Look at my orange line. That corresponds to this x, and then this y. That is what we did when we are doing 2 dimensions. So let's say you have an xy plane. You want x equals to 3, and then y equals to 2, and you have that. So this is x, and then this is y. But in a 3-dimensional, you have to do one more step, and then there is a z. So the z, you are kind of having a 3, 2 right here, and then you have to grab this point, and then you pick up this point. So that's how you do it. So the z, whatever z equals to, so let's say z is equals to 5. So picture this in your mind. You grab the 3, 2, you grab this big orange point. So if z is equals to 5, you pick up this point by 5 units. So that means you lift this point up by 5 units. So that's how the 3D coordinate system works. One thing that you have to pay attention to is when you try to graph something in 3D, the graph is not easy to draw. So at least if you are trying to learn how to plot a point on a 3D coordinate system, that is hard. It's hard to read, and it's hard to picture this in your mind. Alright, so that is the end of this video. In the next video, I will show you how to do plotting on a 3D coordinate system. I see you all in the next video. Signing off for now.